Hey, Orange One here. So in this video, I've recorded it already, and I'm going to be adding in the commentary afterwards. Basically, I was trying to figure out at this point uh, how to get our hunger sorted out, because that had been kind of an issue for a while now. And they updated the game a fair amount since I'd last played. You can eat individual items, but you can also cook things. There seems to be this cooking and gathering skill. And so you can prepare specific meals, and it's kind of weird. I don't know if I figured it out right away at the beginning of this episode, or it's been a few days since I actually recorded this. But I have the skill to do harvestry now, which means we can pick up food from certain items. So I've got the harvestry thing as one of my skills. And it says it's toggle on. And so I was kind of confused because I was standing on a water vine, and I know you can get vine wafers, I think is what it's called, from water vines in previous versions of the game. And so I was trying to just hit buttons and try and figure out how this works. Just, you know, UI problems, right? Long story short was that if you have this toggled on and you walk over a certain thing, it should get picked up, but it has to be ones that are ready to get harvested. Like, most of the water vines in here are not harvestable. And you know, so I think I figured out, okay, this is how you make a camp. But what's weird is that they don't tell you that you have to hit space to use the camp, so I was having a hard time actually figuring out how to use the camp. So I ended up cutting it ahead so you didn't have to watch me fumble through the controls, but basically you can look at all these different things, and yes, these are water vines. If you hold down, I think it's the Alt or the Command key, I think it's Alt, you can see the ones that are harvestable, like things that you can interact with. And I also found that there's like wooden arrows around. So you see those ones that were showing up? If I go over the vine wafers that were showing up when I held down Alt, then I should be able to harvest them. But you do have to have it enabled. So right there I was able to harvest some vine wafers. So we've got a few vine wafers. We can eat those. And I wasn't really sure exactly at this point if our characters would do that automatically, because in the version that I used to play, like a year or more ago, your character would just eat vine wafers if they were hungry. So at this point we've got kind of a problem. Our character, we were getting food, but they weren't eating it, and I just got the message that we were famished, which is a pretty big problem because it's gonna make you move a lot slower. And so I was looking at the items, and I can eat them individually if I hit enter on them and then hit, I think it's A for eat. You can eat them individually, but as you can see, it's not really making me not famished, even though I'm eating a ton of these things. So vine wafers, they don't really give you a lot of nutrition. They just kind of help sustain you, basically. I think you can make food from them, but individually they don't do much. So I was kind of in a bit of a hard situation here. We could eat our goat jerky. And for some reason I accidentally equipped one. And so, oh, and also it just turned day, that's why we can see a little bit better. You know, I was having a little bit of a hard time here. But I think, you know, we've made one big step towards being where we want to be in terms of having some food, and we know how to harvest food at least. Um, so I might make a cut here to the next part where something interesting happened. So we actually found a legendary Snapjaws shotgunner, which is, or their lair, which is kind of dangerous because right now we don't have much in terms of weapons, and if someone hits us with a shotgun, which is almost certainly gonna happen, we would die. And seeing how we're kind of famished, we're moving a little bit slower, it's like, okay, let's just stay away from that location. And there's some kind of interesting things going on here. There's a tonic, there's a zealot down there, I think fighting some of the wildlife. And so there was, this is like the cool part about Caves of Cut, is there's just so much craziness going on that you end up seeing some really cool stuff. There's a beekeeper right there, and a cultist of Agulgut. There's just like really cool factions that you just end up finding in the world. And also there were some baboons chasing us down, so I figured, okay, well, let's see if this guy has any food. And the honey's way too expensive. We could eat that and get some food from that, but we don't have the money and the goods to even buy one of those. So I figured, okay, well, let's just get out of here. And the cultists start attacking us. So I figured, okay, maybe if we run away and fight this guy while he's standing in the water, we might be able to take him out. Because it is kind of like Cataclysm, where different tiles you have different speeds on. And he pretty much almost killed us right here. 2 health. Yeah, that's sprinting away time right there, So luckily for us, we are a 4-legged creature. So we're able to run away pretty fast. And see, look, we're already up to like 5% or 6 health. And so this was, for a little while, it was just like, okay, let's just try and survive and get some food. I wish I had known, in hindsight, that all you need to do to get food is make a camp and press space, and then you get this whole camp menu. I also could have just Googled it, but I was being silly. I think this is where I figured out, okay, we can do something about our hunger here. I'm pretty sure. No, it's not quite yet. Maybe it is. Okay, I'm coming back for that croc corpse. And so you can pick up and eat the corpses even if they're not butchered. It's really not good for you. I think that's what I do here from what I remember. I was trying to look at, okay, I can get by pressing G. If I press G, I pick up the corpse and then I can interact with it. Yeah, if I select that, then we can eat it. It fills us, but it makes you feel sick. Which is a really bad thing, and you'll see in just a minute why. And you don't throw up, unlike in Cataclysm, but you get this thing called an effect. So I hit E on the menu there, and that lets me see the effect. I'm ill, so I won't regenerate health. So I just basically need to stay off combat for a little while. It was good that Alfred here is paving the way, because I learned a lot in this game. And I figured I could probably just like not show a lot of this, but it's good for you to see these mistakes, right? If you're thinking of playing Caves of Cud, you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna want to know how I can get food. I'm gonna want to know if I eat the wrong thing, the repercussions, because it's like, okay, it tells you can eat it, but it doesn't tell you that you're gonna get sick from eating that, What was I trying to figure out here? I can't even remember. Yeah, I'm not sure what I was doing there. I was trying to maybe see if there's a way I could get rid of the effect or something. And there's Snapjaws chasing us down. Which, I mean, we can easily take them out, but without being able to regenerate health, that's kind of silly, you know? But I think I do try and take this one out because it's just by himself. Oh yeah, we do ranged attacks. That's what it was. Because he hasn't got a ranged weapon. Oh, actually, we were able to melee them down. And you know, I totally agree with that person who was commenting about Caves of Cud. The game is really grindy. It's like, yeah, you can't really do much unless you got a good item or good abilities, and to do that, your easiest thing to do is just go around the swamps and kill some stuff. There is more risky options, but those tend to end with you dying in this game, and it takes a while to get there, so I prefer not to rush it too much. So I've got these Snapjaws coming after us. Have we gotten to the point where we're no longer sick? I think we might be no longer sick. That might be why I'm attacking these dudes. Yeah, I mean, some of them do have iron weapons, which are not half bad. And like, you know, it's kind of funny because in the game, water is money, but those weapons, those are actually worth, I think, like when they start getting, maybe not with iron, but when you start getting better stuff, it's actually better to just carry those things than to just try and carry all of your money as water. Because water's heavy, man. It takes up a lot of space. So yeah, it looks like we're no longer sick because we are regenerating health, and I'm trying to just kind of work my way up the food chain, I think, at this point, against the Snapjaws. And there's a warrior that's average difficulty, and just so you know, like average difficulty is about your level, and then easy is like a lower level, and tough is a higher level, and then if they were really difficult, it's not tough, it's like something else, but the game tells you like, hey, you probably shouldn't be trying to fight this guy, they're a higher level than you. I mean, even this dude, they're about equal to us, but we can take them even in melee, and this character's not even built for melee. The only thing that this character has for melee are their horns. And we might have a decent melee weapon, but we don't have any skills or anything. So like, if you kind of know how the game works, you can get into melee in some situations with a ranged character, but you really only want to do that at the beginning of the game, or else you're gonna start getting just destroyed, like one-shotted. Actually, yeah, I do have an iron short sword, which is not a horrible item. Cloth overalls is not ideal though. In general, so the blue diamonds, those are your armor points, and then the circles are your dodge points, I think is what they're called. And like most games, having armor is usually better than having dodge, because dodge is a gamble, armor is guaranteed. Or that's at least what I've heard with this game, is that you want to build towards having your armor over dodge, unless you're like really extreme with your agility. And yeah, we don't have anything that's going to give us any protection on our face. We can't put anything on our head because of our horns, but we can actually upgrade the armor. So I figured, okay, that's probably worth it. We'll be able to tank hits a little bit better with that. But the items have all kinds of interesting effects. Some of them give you like bonuses with certain factions. Some of them give you like more move speed or even some abilities. Oh man, when you start getting some of the artifacts, you get some really cool abilities. But this character is a ways away from getting to that. At this point, we're just fighting little dog people. Just trying not to die. Not doing a very good job of that because, you know, I don't think we even have that many arrows now that I think about it. I think that's why we were going melee. It's because we went up here without enough arrows. And of course we don't have our torch on, so we're like completely blind right now. But I think that actually helps you with running away from people as long as you're not going to run into something hostile. And enemies can move between tiles. I think you've seen that already. So we have to be kind of careful about them chasing us down. I figured that we'd ran away far enough that we should be able to recover a little bit here. I think at this point my goal was to just gather some loot, maybe go back to town and sell some of it off for a better weapon. Maybe potentially actually get to Red Rock, because we do have the Red Rock quest. And there's actually stairs right there to go down. So we could go down there into a dungeon. That would have some good gear for us, but also enemies that are tougher. I mean, it's a roguelike, so naturally the further you go down, the tougher the enemies are. And certain biomes have just tough enemies on the surface anyways. But the general rule applies is you don't want to go down until like you're very comfortable on the previous level. But I think at this point I was just happy that we had figured out a way to get our hunger taken care of. Even if it made us sick. Oh cool, so we found another lair. So I really like the procedurally generated places in this game because you can, like, in some cases they're gonna be hostile to you, but in other cases the lairs of these people, they'll be like friendly to you depending on your relationships with their faction. And they will trade with you. If you do the water ritual, you can learn skills from them. These are like really cool spots, and it's different in every game. And they have like different traditions and all kinds of stuff. And it looks like they've got a little Snapjaw infestation. And those dead roots, if you step on those, I think they hurt you, or dread roots. And they'll actually scare you away, so your character will... Yeah, see that? I wasn't moving, I was just forced to flee away from it. So you want to destroy those if you can, so think to do that I was holding down control, and then hitting the number key towards them, those forced attacking those, that we just weren't walking on them. And then if I look at this, it actually gives me some background. I think about this, this faction, about their sultan. It's just like a historical figure. And sometimes they'll tell you about other shrines that you can go visit, and you'll get those marked on your map, or they might bestow like a blessing or something. So I was thinking of maybe taking out that prickler, but then I was like, okay, I'll let the Snapjaws fight the prickler. It looks like they're fighting each other. And the nice thing is because we've got the four-legged trait, we can carry a lot of weight, so we can just pick up all this junk from the Snapjaws and get a good amount of stuff worth. And this kind of freaked me out because the prickler took out a Snapjaw, so I figured maybe it's not a good idea for us to attack them, you know? And I think if we just look at that tile like that, it doesn't always show all of the items on the tile. So, but I didn't know that at the time. So there are actually items on those tiles, but it's hard to say exactly what it was. And look, there's a chest just laying there. We got some artifacts. See, that's why it's always a good idea to kind of like, if you can easily get rid of the things that you've got and give those to Argyle, sure, go for it. But sometimes just a little bit of exploring the swamps and you've got some artifacts that you can give him. And some artifacts are just worthless. Like sometimes there's like folding chairs and other things. And it's just like, oh, that's not really worth it. So I was trying to think, just see if we could maybe meet the leader of this faction without the glowfish killing us, but we were not having such luck. And it looks like, oh look, there's a Snapjaw archer just at the top there. I think they were shooting at the puffer, but I'm not 100%. They might have been shooting at us. They didn't hit us, they were too far away. And this is something that I absolutely love about this game, is that the enemies only have a certain number of arrows or bullets, and so you can totally just have them shoot from a distance and just run out of all of their arrows, and then you can easily take them out. And you can also run around corners and they'll chase you down and you can hit them. So there's some good strategy to the game. And I think, yeah, we were just searching every nook and cranny at this point, just seeing if there was any way for us, any other maybe treasure chests or anything else that we could find in here. I think it was a glow pad that was the leader here, so I was just investigating, making sure that those weren't the leaders. Also, when you're looking around, you can hit F1, which I don't think I said this in the last episode, I might have. But basically that lets you either look around freely or it will switch between creatures that are nearby. And I don't think you can peek around corners in this game, which is kind of annoying because you can open up doors like that and there'll be like turrets just waiting for you. And they'll just blast you, because in this game there's, you know, 1,000-year-old turrets that still are around with boats, just in like ruins. There's no cars or anything, which is disappointing, but they do have like turrets that you can just find. So I figured, you know, maybe we've been doing pretty well in the swamps, maybe we'll just kind of check what's down here, hopefully just not get one-shotted. Oh yeah, I remember this. We open this door and there's a bear just standing there. And right next to them they've got a clay pitcher, which is decorative. And I really wanted that clay pitcher, so I figured maybe we can fight the bear. It doesn't go very well, does it? So we ran away from the bear. I thought, hey, maybe I can kite it around outside and then come back down for the pitcher. I get the bear to come up, and now they're chasing us with the Snapjaw. We do have a few arrows, so I figured, okay, if there's any time to use those arrows, now is probably that time. And so we were able to take out the brute pretty easily. And I mean, it's saying the bear's average difficulty, so I was not feeling super bad about trying to fight it. Like, maybe this would work out. We are a little bit faster than them, luckily. So we were able to grab some stuff here. If you notice, we're actually overburdened. We went over our carrying capacity, so we're 10 pounds over, so I just put the bark armor down. And I figured, okay, we can run faster than this thing. If we get into a situation, we can probably attack it a few times, then run away. Oh, we got wounded, you know, so I was feeling pretty confident. And they are actually bleeding. I think that arrow made them start bleeding a little bit. I don't think they were bleeding before that. I figured, okay, let's use some arrows here, but we've got them wounded. They're regenerating their health pretty quickly. Different enemies regenerate their health at different rates, so sometimes you can kind of whittle them down, other times it's best to just take them out at once. And here I got a little overconfident, I think. Yeah, we got into the yellow. They're in the yellow. What I really should have done is just keep on hitting them with arrows. But of course I was being frugal and didn't want to use arrows if I didn't have to. And I was figuring, hey, we're doing okay enough in melee. It seems to be a bit of a stalemate, but maybe if they're slower in the water, we might be able to take them. We got them badly injured, but they killed us. Oh man. Well, sometimes that's how it goes. I am going to play a different character, and I hope that you join me for the next character, because they are doing pretty well. I learned a lot from Alfred, but their, I want to say Russian cousin, Opa, is going to be our next survivor that we're going to be following. Thank you for joining me. This has been Orange One.